Well, I'm back in Mexico City. I just landed here yesterday from Colombia. I'm going to be here for, I don't know, the next month and a half or so. I'm going to apply for the UK visa. Hopefully they'll give it to me. And I'll be able to go back to London with my partner and my cat. It's been really strange being here without my cat, actually, because I keep feeling that she's walking around. For instance, I opened a can of tuna yesterday because I had nothing in my pantry, and I kept thinking that she was gonna come meowing, or I don't know, just little things that that I'm so accustomed to being with her, and she's not here with me. But anyhow, I'm excited about this new part of my life, and even though I don't love the heat of Mexico, it's nice to be in my place with my things and all my plants. The first thing that I did as soon as I got here was water my plants, because even though they were looked after, yeah, it's been really hot. But they were fine. There's only one that's not looking great, but I'm sure she'll come back to life. And in this video, I actually wanted to talk to you about something that happened to me during burnout. So I've been going through burnout through the past, I don't know, maybe 6-7 months, probably longer, but that's when I kind of accepted it. And even though I can't say that I'm completely out of it yet, I'm definitely on my way towards it. I feel much better now, but I still feel that I have to, be aware of certain things and be really mindful of my energy. I'm still not working full time. And yeah, really taking care of my, what I eat, and making sure that I'm exercising, and, being very mindful about not taking in all the projects that come my way, which has been probably the hardest thing. But today I wanted to talk to you about something that has been really strange, which has been the loss of my voice. And I don't mean this in a metaphorical way, even though maybe there's a bit of that as well, but I mean physically, like feeling that I am unable to reach my voice or access it. And even though it's a little bit better now, you can still kind of see how I'm struggling a bit, or I have to kind of make a bigger effort. It's much better now, but I experienced a little bit of this again when I was in Colombia. And it was probably partly because I was in a new setting in a way, even though I am an actor. I was in Colombia because I was shooting an episode of a TV series, and even though it's something that I've done all my life, in the past 2 years I've acted very little, and the last project that I did was about a year ago, or probably a little bit longer, and it was a movie. And it was just a very different setting, and this was a TV series, and the way in which television is shot, even though it was in Colombia, it's for a Mexican production, and it has a much faster pace, and I don't know, it's just a different dynamic. This video is not about that, but what I mean is that it was a setting that made me feel a bit nervous, going into a production that was, full on its way. All the cast had been working together for months, the director as well. And, and I was completely new, even though I knew some of the actors and everybody was ridiculously nice. I found myself kind of feeling very new to everything. So there was the nervousness, there was also the energy part. I was still in jet lag from just having flown in from London, and also the pressure of knowing that I had to come back to Mexico, and the uncertainty of applying for the visa and whether I'll be able to go back soon or not so soon. All of that probably played a part. But so I was reminded of this, and when I was deep in burnout some months ago, I remember that it was something that I was noticing, that I was having a lot of trouble just accessing my voice. And I came online, and I mean, there are some wonderful creators talking about the autistic experience and going through autistic burnout, and some wonderful podcasts as well. And some of them kind of touched upon it, but none of them really, I don't know, really shared a similar experience to the one that I was going through. So I thought I'd share it with you, and if it's something that you're going through, maybe at least you'll not feel as alone as I did. And before talking specifically about that, I think I have to talk about two things. And one of them is kind of accepting that you're in burnout, or in my case, me accepting that I was in burnout. And the other one is a component that I'm sure plays a part, which is the lack of energy that comes with all of that. And keep in mind that, I mean, my experience is probably not going to be the same as yours. I'm also I'm a woman, I'm ADHD, which means I'm autistic, and I also have ADHD and probably other things, misophonia, for instance. And I'm also in my 40s. I turned 41 a few months ago. So, I mean, all of that plays a part as well, because a woman's body is different at a different age. And I mean, all of this to say that it doesn't necessarily have to be your experience, but this was mine. And so the past year, I started to notice that, I don't know, for instance, when I was invited to speak in a podcast, or when I had to, I was doing some workshops on dream work, or even just going out with friends, in social settings, it was so draining, and it took so much effort to access my voice, to find that place in my diaphragm and kind of like bring it out. The feeling was as if it gets stuck inside me, and it takes so much energy to bring it out. And at the beginning, my neighbors are out there. That's the other thing about being here in Mexico City, that it's so much louder than being in London, but we'll just have to work around it. I don't think I've been very lucky with audio in my YouTube channel, but I'll keep working on it to make it better. I'm wearing a shirt that isn't scratching as much as my last video, but I'm just gonna wait a little bit for my neighbors to go back to their apartments and leave the hallway to continue talking to you, which I'm very excited about. I'm feeling actually really excited about restarting this channel. I've mentioned it already in the past videos, but I've been wanting to do this for a long time, and I just hadn't really found the focus. And there's so much information on YouTube about, starting a new channel and how to do it and what to talk about, and, finding a niche and all these things that I'm sure I'll find my way, but they didn't completely resonate at the time. But anyhow, I think my neighbors have left the hallway. So where was I? So yeah, and the sensation was as if it took a Herculean effort to bring my voice out and actually communicate. And at the beginning, I thought it was just lack of energy, which was something that I was experiencing, and that is a real thing. I think I'll make a video about the kind of like the journey and the different stages of realizing that you're autistic. But the main thing for me being in burnout was that my energy was just completely depleted, and I had just come back from sort of, more or less like a 2-year worldwide trip, which was also, it was just fantastic and beautiful, amazing, but it was also quite draining, because essentially for about 1.5 years I was living off of my carry-on and moving from place to place and just staying in a different place for about a month, and that took a lot of, it fed into my ADHD and the desire for adventure and for new things, but it also really strained my need for routine or for stability. So that was going on in my life. I was probably really tired from, from jumping around the world. And then when I decided that I was going to come back to Mexico and, restart my life, or somewhere else, I didn't exactly know where, but I met my partner, and so there began another period of about 2 years of jumping between the UK and Mexico, which was also quite, quite draining and stressful, and being in a long-term relationship also has its, its challenges. But anyhow, so I started realizing that my energy was really low, and I started realizing that I was having a really hard time accessing my voice, and I mean, it really impacted my self-esteem as well, because I have usually been somebody who can, communicate quite clearly, and I have, a lot of clarity in my ideas. My first language is Spanish, of course, so I'm a little bit more clumsy in English, but I mean, it was something that I could really rely on, my ideas, my ability to communicate, and all of a sudden it was gone. I just couldn't access it. And so I thought it was just the lack of energy. And a really important part for me was accepting that I was in autistic burnout. So, I mean, and that happened really into burnout. I think I should have realized it before. I wish somebody would have helped me understand that I was going through autistic burnout. But the moment when I said to myself, okay, this is what is happening, you are in burnout and you need to, make some changes for getting better. That is when I realized, okay, there's a link between the lack of being able to access my voice and being in autistic burnout. So and it's been a really tough journey. And I've talked about the lack of energy, the awareness of being in autistic burnout, and the lack of being able to, or not being able to access my voice. So the moment I said, okay, I'm in autistic burnout, first I went through, through feeling really, really sad. I was quite depressed, because the things that I felt that I was used to being able to do, just like being very, very productive and, getting excited about new projects and, and making those projects happen, it was just not happening. I was struggling to get out of bed. I was struggling to just do the very basic things. And at that point in my life, I've had a part-time freelance job for a while. Many years ago, I realized that, this was before the pandemic. I realized that the thing that makes me happy is just, traveling and having new experiences. So I knew that I would not be able to sustain that type of lifestyle by being just an actor, because acting, is geographically bound. I know that now because of the pandemic. It's a lot easier to send your auditions, through online and all of that. But you still have to be in a specific place. And also, the career that I had built was in Mexico. And even though I had worked in Latin America and in the United States a bit, my manager was here. The casting directors who knew me were here. So it's not necessarily super easy to, just leave and have everybody still, consider you for projects. I guess unless you're extremely famous, which I am not. So anyhow, I knew that I needed, something that could allow me to sustain myself, while I was traveling. So I found this remote job, and I've been doing that for a while. But I was also, doing a lot of art projects and some personal projects and acting and other things, which I don't know. That's what really makes me happy. All the creative projects that I can, that I can really explore through research, and then putting them into practice in one way or the other. So essentially, when I realized that I was an autistic burnout, I decided that I needed to basically strip my life from everything that was not absolutely necessary. And I know that for most people, or for many people, that's probably not going to be even something that they can do. It's in this world and in this economy, it's really difficult to. Most of us are kind of barely scraping by. So, it was really scary to to kind of just keep the very, very minimum that I needed to essentially survive. But I also knew that it was necessary for me to regain my health. And and again, that also impacted my self-esteem quite a bit, because I was, I've been used to having a very strong body throughout my life, and, and just being very productive in the sense that, I just feel that I can do anything. I feel that if there's a project that I want to do, I could, just figure out the steps and I would get to that point. But so essentially deciding that I was gonna stop everything and just focus on getting better was really, really scary. And it was scary also because I don't have a huge savings account, and I don't own a home. I'm not necessarily in a place where I can just stop for a while and nothing will fall apart. And I'm also in my, I'm in my 40s, so it's also a scary place to be where you don't feel that there's a huge safety net for you. So there were two kind of like contradicting forces. One that was telling me you need to slow down, you need to scale back. And another one saying, no, but you need to do more, because you need to, you need to grow your savings, you need to, create something that is, sustainable, and, maybe create a business and this and that. So it was a really tough choice to decide to do it, but now I'm very happy to have done it. And the first months of deciding to scale down were, they were a bit ridiculous. I would just get out of bed and, get something to eat and do the few hours of work that I needed to do that day, or maybe, compound it and decide that I would work these 2 days, more hours and just rest the rest of the days. I had one art project that I had already committed to, so I was also working on that. But I essentially tried to not have any social engagements and essentially just rest, just be here and rest. And the voice part has been also quite a journey, because in those months of scaling down, but also having to do these things that we have to do in life, like work a little bit and and go out to get groceries, and it's a bit impossible to not see absolutely anybody. It just happens that once in a while you have to go out and and meet people. So there was always this balance of trying to protect the space for resting, and also to try and advance my life. And it's I think the core part that took me a while to understand as well was that coming out of burnout, or regaining my energy for being able to access my voice again, didn't necessarily have to do with just resting. It didn't necessarily have to do with sleeping more, for instance, or just working from my couch or something like that. But it was rather about stripping down the responsibilities. So for instance, if so for instance, being the lead for a project, or taking on a creative project that I was, that it was mine, that I had to, work around and had deadlines and maybe a budget. That was, even though it was something that might give me, joy and happiness because it was creative and I liked doing it, it created more, more stress, or drained my energy more than just a very mechanical task, like, doing some of the freelance work that I've been doing. So essentially, it was about getting rid of the most responsibilities that I had at the moment, and I can say that little by little, I feel that that my voice is coming back, as I said, and you can probably hear it still. I still feel that it's a little bit shaky, that it's as if it hasn't completely, like found a very, I don't know, like a very like smooth flow out. It's still kind of finding its way, but it is much better now. And I even feel that there's a better connection between my ideas and the voice, because that was also something that I was experiencing. It felt that, that my mind was, was still working at the same pace, and I was still having the, the ideas and the words, but the connection between the ideas and the words and the, and the, I don't know, the vocal cords and the mouth, and it wasn't connecting fast enough. So I constantly felt that, that I was stumbling, that I was clumsy, and at the same time that it was really difficult to get it out. So, I mean, I've been feeling quite, even quite, what's the word? Like dumb. I when having conversations with people, I feel that, they must think that I'm not very bright, because I haven't been able to access at a fast enough pace the ideas that are in my, in my mind and my brain. So anyhow, it was, it's been really tough, and it's really been also a process of kind of understanding that it's something that my body's going through right now, and that it's okay, and that it's not the end of the world, and that there are things that I can do to support myself. And really about, also having, people around you that, that support you and that can understand that, but about having a lot of, I don't know, like compassion for yourself, for myself in this case, because it's really scary to kind of feel that your cognitive abilities are going backwards. And I now can feel that I'm kind of getting over that bump and that hurdle, which is, it feels really great. I still know that I'm not there yet, but it's really nice to see that, that there's light at the end of the tunnel. And if you're going through this, I don't have anything specific to tell you in terms of, what to do to solve this. I think all the information that is out there in terms of autistic burnout recovery is very useful. As I said, for me, it has been mostly to do with descaling my life, and being very present in the moments. And I know that sounds like super cliche, but it has been about kind of just living the, day to day, and trying to, really prioritize the recovery, and really prioritize that, that I need to not take on new things, that I need to really make an effort to eat healthy, and to rest, and to exercise a little bit during the day. All of that has been incredibly valuable, even if it sounds like the very obvious. I guess it's very obvious because it does work. And I can also say that, I'm sure I'm not the only one who has experienced this, and if you're experiencing this, you're not alone. And if you want to reach out just to know that there's somebody else who can, who has gone or is going through something similar, I'm here. I'm happy to, to have a conversation or exchange messages or anything that you need, because that's the other thing. And I'll close this video with this. The most important part about all of this, or the most beautiful outcome, has been the creating a community. And I'm not doing that right now. I paused it when I was in London, but when I was going through burnout, I started like little autistic, well, neurodivergent meetings in Spanish, because I realized that there weren't that many spaces in Spanish for talking about all of this. And it was really beautiful to start, I don't know, connecting with other people who were going through something similar, even though our experiences are completely different. But that was something really beautiful. And also kind of connecting with friends who were going through something similar, even if they weren't going through autistic burnout, for instance, but friends who are also in their 40s and, you know, and have no idea what's going on with their bodies, or, you know, are having a hard time as well because they're feeling their energy drop, or their, you know, or some of their abilities, I don't know, shift or diminish, or there are changes in the body that, you know, that we don't necessarily understand. So it has been really beautiful in that sense. And that is one of the reasons why I am making these videos, I think, because it has been also very helpful for me to be able to come online to this platform and find other people who are sharing their honest experiences about their life perspectives and what they're going through, and gaining some insights from them, or even just feeling, you know, feeling not alone. So if I can do that for you as well, that would make me extremely happy. And I hope that if you're going through autistic burnout, you give yourself compassion and love, and that you come out of it very soon. And see you next time.